Let's jump right to this. We've got some fresh new data on inflation for the month of June that was just released. I'm going to break it down for you now. The June Consumer Price Index report showed inflation increased 0.3%. That's the headline, and it brings the number to an overall year-over-year number to 2.7%. So remember, the Fed has a target of 2% to cut interest rates, and we are beyond that. CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand joins us from the White House with more on this. Natalie, let's see, where are you? You're to my right. What does this new CPI report mean for the White House?
Good morning, Errol. Well, this is the highest reading since February and moving away from the Federal Reserve's target rate. Of course, it comes, as we've seen and heard the president ramp up pressure on Fed Chair Jerome Powell to cut interest rates. This is one input that will be considered when Fed policymakers meet again later in the month. But one of the categories that saw increases, according to the analysts, was grocery prices. And some experts say that this could be a sign that tariff policy could gradually be starting to have an impact. Of course, this comes within a critical couple of weeks as the White House tries to finalize trade deals with top trading partners. Now, I did just get a new statement from the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, over email. She says that every month since President Trump took office, core inflation, which the White House argues is the best measure of inflation, has beat or matched expectations. And the White House arguing that the data proves President Trump is stabilizing inflation or prices.
Really interesting to get that fresh perspective from the White House press office, also considering that the expectations have been that inflation will continue. So the fact that some of the numbers in the White House's opinion has beat expectations doesn't mean inflation is cooling in a way that our viewers can feel at home. And Natalie, I just want to ask you about another big headline that we're following, because President Trump is giving Russian President Vladimir Putin an ultimatum. We haven't heard this from him before. Break down the latest on these tariff threats and what it means for the Trump-Putin former bromance.
Yeah, well, as we've been talking about, Errol, there's been this escalating rhetoric against Russian President Vladimir Putin in recent weeks. And the big announcement yesterday is that the administration is threatening secondary sanctions or tariffs of 100% on countries that do business with Russia, for instance, buy Russian oil. You're talking about China, India, Brazil, for instance. So the new timeline that we have is 50 days, according to what President Trump has said, 50 days to reach a peace deal or ceasefire deal, or else face these new secondary sanctions. Now, some experts have questioned the feasibility of actually carrying out this threat just based on the economic impact, the trading partners, when you're talking about a country like China. Also, important to note that that 100% tariff rate would be far lower than what was proposed in this bipartisan Senate bill, up to 500%. Yet those senators are still praising the president's, words and actions yesterday, saying that not only the tariff threat, but also the new deal with NATO to supply more weapons to Ukraine could be a game changer here.
Yeah, Natalie, and tell me more about that, because it's not just the president who had long bragged of his positive relationship with Putin and that would pay dividends for the American people, but this offer to sell or to get weapons that it needs and that Ukraine needs through NATO members is new and novel. How will that work?
Yeah, the president said it will be billions of dollars in U.S. military equipment that is purchased by European allies and then supplied to Ukraine. You saw that meeting yesterday between President Trump and the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. That's what was discussed, this new deal to try to move weapons to Ukraine much faster. The administration has already talked about, weapons and for instance, the Patriot air defense missile system that's in possession by some European countries that could actually be transferred to Ukraine very quickly, and then they could purchase a replacement, for instance. So this is a new effort to get the military assistance that Ukraine has said it desperately needed at a much faster rate. And I also want to mention some new reporting by the Financial Times.
Yeah.
We have to attribute it to them, but they say, according to sources briefed on the discussion, President Trump, in a phone call with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, asked about, the potential for deeper strikes into Russian territory, asking even if Ukraine could reach Moscow, for instance.
Yeah, a very significant report. I noticed that as well here in the past hour or so, and we're going to ask our BBC News colleague in Kyiv if there's any local reaction to that. A very significant note. Natalie Brand with fresh information from the White House press office and more. Thank you so much.